Well, CGTN's White House correspondent Nathan King joins us now with more on Washington's stance. Nathan.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway was the actual warmth at the beginning of that virtual summit, even though they weren't meeting face-to-face in person. It was obviously reflected of the deep personal history between the now two heads of state. I mean, Joe Biden very much saying, look, next time, President Xi, I want to meet you face to face. President Xi saying Joe Biden was an old friend. These are words that we have not been used to over the last few years. But it was obvious as the talks started into their fourth hour that essentially this is not just about pleasantries, but also grinding down on the nitty-gritty of the issues that divide these two countries. Now, while there was no immediate deliverables, as they say in diplomatic language, I think China got one of the key things that it wanted, which is a reiteration of the one China policy and a disavowal by the Biden administration that it will have anything to do with supporting Taiwan independence. Now, that is a firm commitment rhetorically, and whether it matches up to the reality or not, we'll have to wait and see. And Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor here, gave his interpretation of that exchange earlier today. Let's take a listen.
President Biden underscored his commitment to the One China policy, which is guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. He also reminded President Xi that he voted for the Taiwan Relations Act as a senator, and so he understands deeply, firsthand, that the act makes clear that any effort to shape Taiwan's future by other than peaceful means is of grave concern to the United States.
The message there was status quo, status quo, status quo. Now, there are some other green shoots. For example, cooperation, very warm climate language coming out of COP26 in Glasgow. Also some movement, and I know this sounds granular, but it does build confidence in terms of visas for journalists, Chinese journalists wanting to come here. We're very much experienced in this, the crackdown on the Trump administration. This looks like it is moving on both sides of the Pacific. And also, there seems to be some movement to revive the Phase 1 trade deal and potentially reduce tariffs as well. Watch this space.
Nathan, you know, you see the split screen of the two leaders and you think of Joe Biden and the political challenges, the weaknesses that he's facing domestically, and the contrast with Xi Jinping, who's quite strong at the moment back home. How did that factor into some of the takeaways that we saw from this summit?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're referring to the fact that, you know, President Xi came out of the six-party plenum. Obviously, the Chinese political calendar next year, we understand, puts him domestically very much at the helm, whereas President Biden has had real problems getting through that infrastructure bill through Congress. In fact, the U.S. is trying to spin that they're in a position of strength because he basically signed it just hours before speaking to President Xi. So, yeah, you're right. But I think the main takeaway from all this, though, is that, look, this was a time to get a bit more face-to-face, open the differences. Even though the rhetoric may spin the other way, they understand that meeting, talking through these problems, not just at the leader level, but the leaders setting the example for the rest, can only help to ease tensions while deep differences remain. It is much better than I can tell you about 12 months ago, Rowie, and I can feel it today.
Indeed, and we've all seen it change. Nathan King live for us here in Washington. Thank you.